Hi everybody, welcome to a new podcast. I am joined with Sid. Sid's hi,
Hi.
and today we are going to be previewing Champions League action match day 4. We're also be talking about some breakout stars which we've seen in this Champions League season, and who we think could make it all the way or at least to the semi-finals. 4 teams who we think. And normally that would be pretty easy, but we've just taken a quick look at them, and it's looking pretty hard. So, without any further ado, let's dive right into today's episode.
Yeah, so firstly, best matches of Matchweek 4. You can see it in your screen right now. There are obviously 16 matches. Uh, Trivu, do you want to say the first one?
The first match we've picked is which will take place tonight at 1:30 a.m. IST is PSG versus RB Leipzig.
Uh,
Um, Big
yeah,
game. Any
big game.
standout player can make the difference there.
It's Group H. Currently, United and Leipzig are tied in that group, 6 points each. Obviously, last time around before international break, RB Leipzig and PSG came head to head. Leipzig won 2-1. What are your thoughts on tonight?
Um, Pre last time, ex PSG player Christopher Nkunku, who's actually been really good for Leipzig since joining them, putting up some stellar numbers. You can see his statistics on the screen right now from last season and this season. He started off really well. He scored one of the two RB Leipzig goals, and proved to his former club why they shouldn't have sold him and why he is a valuable key player with a lot of potential. I think he's one of the few difference makers there. I think
Yeah,
also PSG a really good attacking player in other than the usual Neymar and Mbappe has been Moise Kean, at least in the Champions League. He has been their best attacking outlet. He scored I think 2 or 3 goals in
yeah.
the Champions League itself, and he's really turning his fortune around from his Everton days. Any other players you'd like to point out?
Yeah. And apart from players, I feel Leipzig have a bunch of, exciting young players apart from in Kunku. They also have, Nordi Mukelele, Konate, Upamecano. And I still feel, though, from after the exit of Timo Werner from Leipzig to Chelsea, they've been weakened. And, all due respect, I feel that their current strikers just aren't no, they just do not match Timo Werner. They don't provide his talent, his pace. So I feel they have been weakened, but I think Leipzig are still a very strong side. They have a good manager, and I also feel last time around, obviously PSG were missing Neymar and Mbappe. I'm not too sure about Mbappe, but I think Neymar's back in training. Obviously, one of the best players in the world. He'll be crucial against Leipzig. So any now score predictions?
I'm gonna go with another Leipzig win,
Mhm.
3-2 win this time because I expect
Oh,
to see more action. I think Mbappe is back in action because I remember PSG did lose to Monaco on the weekend or on Friday night. We could say. Mbappe is immediately after international break coming right back into the team and delivering 2 goals for PSG. But a Cesc Fabregas penalty in the 86th minute wiped off PSG's hopes of taking the win there. It was actually a PSG were 2-0 up, and then a missed penalty and some really good play by Monaco is what led to a win. But I think PSG are definitely not looking like the side they were last season, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they didn't go through their group, considering United and RB Leipzig's form.
yeah. I
What
feel
do
I
you?
feel PSG are a bit low on confidence before international break. You know, they lost to Leipzig as well. They're not in a very good position in their group currently, third just ahead of Istanbul. And I feel it's a really big game. If they lose or even drop points tonight, I feel they'll be in big trouble. I think it's a must-win game, but obviously with Mbappe and Neymar back in the team, it's a big boost for them. I actually think the score will be 2-1 to PSG. I just feel what Neymar and Mbappe provide is extremely strong, but I still feel it'll be a tight game. Leipzig are a good side. I think they drew on the weekend, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I think PSG can get the win, and it'll make things more difficult for Leipzig. It's a pretty tight Group H.
Yeah, and last time also, as you mentioned, the two players you mentioned, Neymar and Mbappe, they won present last time PSG played Leipzig. So let's see how much of a difference they can bring to the game, and it shows just how important they are for PSG. Because without Neymar and Mbappe, PSG really don't have much going forward.
Yeah, I agree. So the next match is Real Madrid versus Inter Milan. Both of them are in Group B. They'll be playing Wednesday night, Thursday. So it's actually counted as Thursday, but it is Wednesday night, 1:30 a.m. India time. And what are your thoughts on this one?
So I think this is another big game. Real Madrid and Inter have both really struggled this year in the group. Gladbach, who was the team everyone expected to go straight to the Europa League, has been doing really well compared to those two. Putting up consistent goals, players like Newhouse, player all delivering. But in this game specifically, I would say, see, Real Madrid was supposed to be missing Ramos and Hazard. I'm pretty sure Casemiro as well for this game. I'm not sure on the status of their return, but I think if they don't have Ramos, it could be a very open game because without Ramos, they really don't have a leader, and
Yeah,
they really seem to struggle without
we've
Ramos.
seen that before. They were knocked out of the Champions League last season because Ramos was not there for a lot of defensive mistakes.
And the season before that as well, Ajax 4-1.
Yeah.
Ramos was again not present here. Red card, picked up a red card in the first leg. Um,
So
I think I think it could go either way. It's a really tight game. My standout players would probably be for Inter. I would say Barella is performing really well at the moment. He's like the only world class player. He was looking like the only world class player when Inter came back against Torino until Lukaku decided to finally show up in the second half. They were 2-0 down at Torino, 3-2 comeback. Lukaku 86-minute goal, and Alexis Sanchez also 1 goal, 1 assist, maybe reviving his career, trying his best. He's putting up much better stats than he was at United, at least. Maybe trying to find some part of his Arsenal self. I think Sanchez, Lukaku, and Barella will be the key players for Inter. And for Real Madrid, Luka Jovic has just recently found a lot of form. Maybe even Hazard, if he's
yeah.
fit, he could. But Hazard really seems to struggle in the Champions League. I think Jovic, he's been on really good form. Jovic, if he starts, he could be the one to deliver the sucker punch. Modric has been good as he always is. And my personally, the player who has been the best for Real Madrid in my eyes, Vinicius Junior this season. He's putting up much more goals than he did last season, in addition to his brilliant dribbling. So those are the players I've picked as the standouts.
Yeah,
Anyone
I
you want to
think,
mention?
yeah, you can see the table. Real are currently third, and Inter Milan are currently fourth. Lot of pressure on both the teams. It's a must-win game for both of them. Inter currently stand on 2 points, and Real currently stand on 4 points. They really have to show, what they're made of. I think Inter, as already mentioned, Lautaro Martinez and Nicola Barella, they've been on, good form. Inter have a good side. Even Romelu Lukaku is a, strong player. And I feel even at the back, Inter Milan have had some good players. Bastoni, he's a young defender. He's been good for them this season. And I think, attacking wise, as I mentioned, Martinez and Lukaku, and defensive wise, I think Bastoni. And for Real, it's a tough one because there's a lot of, some lot of pressure on some of the players like Hazard and Jovic in the past who we've seen have failed to deliver. You never know, this might be the right stage for them, to show up and prove themselves. But I think also a crucial player who doesn't, I feel doesn't get mentioned enough is Benzema. And I think he's fit for the match. He will be fit for the match. I think he's a really good player and could cause trouble. And I also as you might have heard, there's a bit of trouble with some of the Real teammates. You never know, that might affect the game between Vinicius Junior and Benzema. I think it's a really tight one, but I'm actually gonna go 2-1 for Real Madrid just because of some of the quality they have in the field. Modric, Cruz.
In my opinion, both teams have been really struggling to perform lately in their leagues, out of their leagues, both defensively and going forward. Lucas Vasquez, a player who has been targeted by many Real Madrid fans, people are questioning whether he deserves to wear the Real Madrid jersey anymore. If is he that caliber still? When he was at right back, I thought he was doing much better than he's doing at right wing at the moment. But I'm gonna go with a 3-1 win for Real because while they are still missing a lot of talent, they have players like Benzema, Jovic, Hazard, Cruz, Modric, Ferland Mendy, who's been playing really well. If these players and Carvajal is also fit for the game again, he was out for a lengthy period of time. So all these players fit again. I think if they keep doing what they did last season, winning the La Liga title, those kind of performances, I think they'll be just fine and see off a struggling Interside 3-1.
Bold predictions there, but okay. The next game is Liverpool versus Atalanta Group D. Again, same time as Real versus Inter. Thoughts?
Liverpool pretty much have the same players they had when they beat them 5-0. I'm expecting Jordan Henderson will be fit for the game because he was really important in that game. Curtis Jones as well stepped up on the weekend with a, in my opinion, man of the match performance against Leicester. Great ball retention, great defensive effort, 91% passing accuracy. I think Gini Wijnaldum has been great. The injury to Naby Keita will be a bit of a blow, but if Liverpool can play the same way they played last time out, they will be missing Trent Alexander-Arnold this time. He played quite a few of the killer passes, which saw Liverpool win that game. Like the first assist to Jota was a superb pass. But I think if they can just keep doing what they've been doing, playing like coming off a 3-0 win against Leicester, Andy Robertson, brilliant player. Jota is on the form of his life right now. Firmino also grabbed a goal. So I think Liverpool will comfortably win 3-0 for me. What do you think?
Yeah, as mentioned, everyone knows Liverpool's record in Anfield is, another level. The players seem to just perform there. And again, great performance against Leicester, 3-0 win. The players are full of confidence, yet Liverpool have had many injury problems, lot of players out. But I think Atalanta, sorry, I think Liverpool can win. And I think they'll be missing Trent, who was a key player against Atalanta. But, the likes of Mane, Firmino, Jota, Salah are still there. I think it should be a comfortable, I think I would say 3-1. And yeah, and also, Thiago has not been there for a while. He's a world class player. He would be another amazing addition to the team. Which players do you think will stand out in that match?
I think Diogo Jota on the form of his life. I don't see that form letting off at all. I think Jota, Salah, Mane, Firmino maybe. If Henderson plays, I think he is Liverpool's most important player. I think if he plays, he will make a big difference. Um, Everyone really. I would like to see how the loss of Joe Gomez and that pace which they'll be lacking, how Atlanta could use that to their advantage. But from Atlanta, I think Alejandro Gomez and Duvan Zapata. Illich has still not found his form following the divorce from his wife or the alleged divorce. He's still not found form after that. He's been dealing with a lot of personal issues which is affecting the way he's playing. But we never wish on a player's downfall. So I hope that Illich comes back to his best form and that but I think Zubata and Gomez will be the standouts. Alejandro Gomez, that is. Who do you
Yeah,
think?
and I actually thought that same here. From an Atalanta point of view, Zapata, even though Liverpool crushed Atlanta last time around 5-0, I felt, Zapata had a couple of good chances. He hit the bar and he did threaten the defense a lot. Obviously, we still had Joe Gomez at that point. Now we don't. So I think from an Atalanta point of view, Zapata is a great asset to them. And from Liverpool, I agree. Diogo Jota, Sadio Mane, I think even Gini Wijnaldum, the performance he put against Leicester, everybody played amazing on the weekend. But I think my standout man has got to be Jota. He's on great form. He's looking fast, fit. So yeah.
So moving on, we will get straight to our next how could you say segment of the podcast, which is we're going to be discussing the breakout stars from this Champions League season. A few we've shortlisted here. So will Zlasi, I don't really know how to pronounce his name, from RV Salzburg. Camavinga, who's not performed as much as well as we hope, but we still know he's a phenomenal player. Diogo Jota, we've mentioned him quite a few times already, but he deserves it. He's been on really good form, exceeding all expectations. We've got Anthony from Ajax, who's looking a really dangerous player, definitely one for the future. Ansu Fati, also been Barcelona's best player this season, just 17 years of age, doing better than Lionel Messi, who's really looking out of form. But Fati has been on superb. Like, he's been playing so well. I think that he is definitely one of the. While he did break into the team last season, this season he is here to take over. And the last player who's also been mentioned, Bastoni, great defender for Inter. So, who would you say has really shown this season?
I'm gonna say Ansu Fati because I think he for the start of the season he's like a teenage guy, 17 years old, and that Barcelona team competing for the spot. There's obviously in that position players who can play in sort of the attacking positions. There's Coutinho, there's Griezmann who's not been on form, but still there's been Ousmane Dembele who looks like he's been coming back. There are a couple of players, and obviously Barcelona's the competition in their squad, especially in those positions, is no joke. And for a guy of his age, he's been playing amazing. Unfortunately, he has a knee injury, so I think that's probably ended the best part of this whole season. I think he'll be back in 4 to 5 months. That's a major blow, but for the part he's been fit for the beginning part of the season, he's been amazing. I think he's a big star for the future of Barcelona. Still only 17. He has a good couple of years in his prime age.
Yeah, and I'm sure all Barcelona fans will be hoping that the injury isn't going to affect how well he's been playing, because we've seen what injuries can do to young players, old players. Injuries are really the worst part of football, and we hope that he can come back and find his best form again. For me, the I think I agree with you. Fatty has been the best of the lot, but I think breakout wise, Soboslai, he has been really good for Salzburg. He's been creating so many chances. He's gotten linked to some of Europe's elites: Liverpool, Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man United. I think nobody really knew about him before this season started. And once the season started, he is a Hungarian, of course, and he has been, he's been hungry for assists and goals. And I really think that he's a superb player. I saw him play against Bayern that day when they lost. I also saw him play against Lokomotiv Moscow. I watched that game because I watched that game thinking I was bored, but he really caught my eye, and I think he's gonna be definitely watch out for him in the future, because he's a great player, and I think he will shine on the biggest stage of football.
Yeah, we've seen before. RB Salzburg has produced some amazing young players. Haaland, who's on absolute fire. Minamino, who joined Liverpool. And yeah, he's only 20 years old. He's been linked to some of the biggest teams. And I feel, yeah, he's a really good player, but unfortunately for him, Salzburg don't see see him in a very good position. We might not see him in the knockout stage, but what he's done for them so far has been, crucial. Obviously, of course, another one, Sadio Mane, world class from Salzburg, Naby Keita, so many players we've seen, and I think he'll be following their footsteps and becoming potentially one of the best midfielders in the world.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Um, I think we've both covered who we think is the best. I think Jota, obviously, there'll be a little bit of bias there from both of us. Um, a really, really good player. He scored a hat trick against Atlanta. His finishing instincts are deadly. Camavinga, another great player, but he's not showed up this season as much as we would have hoped for him. Anthony fighting to keep Ajax in the Champions League. I think they're ahead of Atlanta at the moment after the 5-0 loss, but I could be wrong. Um, so moving on, let's move into who we think could be the potential semi-finalists. So
We got to start off with one. It's despite the injuries, it's a necessity. I feel Bayern Munich currently topping their group. They won last season. They're in a great, they're just in amazing form right now. I think Bayern are, you have to say they'll be able to reach the semi-finals. The team they've got, the form they're in, I think definitely Bayern will be one of them. We've seen them play last season. They won the Champions League. Some of the young players they have, even some of the experienced players they have, are just all world class, And obviously, because it's tight schedule, they've had their injuries. Kimmich, Alfonso Davies, some really crucial players, but I still think they'll be able to make it through the semi-finals because talent in their team is unbelievable.
yeah, I completely agree with you there. They lost, but they have lost players like Kimmich, Davies, Hernandez. They are without a left back at the moment, from what I've told. But even despite all those losses, I think they're still, after the way they played last season, not calling them, the best in the world would be a bit of a disgrace. Maybe this season they've not been as good as they were last season, but the way they, after you attack, they attacked the Champions League last season. They did not try to defend it. They kept going at it game in, game out, and it reminds me of another team which played like that was 17-18 Liverpool. They just, instead, the best form of defense is attack, is a phrase you hear quite a lot. And but I think while that may be true, all teams need to learn how to defend, so they have stepped a bit of the pedal. But I think despite all their injuries, you still have to see them going through to the semis.
Yeah, as I said, their defense their defense looks a bit shaky, but I still their style of football is definitely sustainable enough to take them through. The next team,
um I would go for Liverpool, obviously. I mean,
yeah,
those are the two I think are definitely going to make it through. The other two spots I'm very conflicted about, but I think Liverpool will make it through despite all the injuries.
yeah.
Van Dijk is lost, but he's actually stepped up his recovery, and people are expecting him to be back by February or March. So I think that could be really good for
Yeah,
Liverpool if he
I
back
feel
then.
despite Liverpool's injuries, they've been, amazing. The squad has been great. Everyone's been performing. I think I I don't want to jinx it, but I feel they've we're in a really good position to get out of the group, and I can see Liverpool making it to the semi-finals, but no jinxes. I just feel they've been amazing this season. I know they've received a lot of unnecessary criticism. They're not as good as they were before. They're not performing the way they used to, but I think they've been really good. Top of the Champions League group, tied top of the Premier League. So yeah, I can see them making it through. The other two spots, on the other hand, there are a couple of contenders, but we're not fully sure. Do you want to say one of them?
I will narrow down I have four contenders for the other two spots. For me, it's between Atletico, because after the Bayern game, they really turned around their fortunes. I would say not PSG. I would say Juventus. because even though they've got not the most experienced manager, you still see them. The players they've got, Kulusevski, another Swedish talent who's broken into the Serie A. He won the Serie A as best young player. He's been performing well for Juve this season. Um, the third team I've picked is Man United. While they've been pretty terrible in the Premier League and against the smaller teams especially, I think they've been on pretty good form in the big games in the Champions League. They beat Leipzig 5-0 and they beat PSG 2-1, a late Marcus Rashford goal. I think Man United, it really depends on their consistency. I think if they can get rid of Ole before the knockout rounds, replace him with someone like Poch or Allegri, I think they have their squad immediately becomes like 50% better than it already is, because the players are still going to be the same, but under different management, under good management, I think they could really make a big difference. But my fourth team for this spot would probably be Man City, another English team. Man City, every year they look like they're going to win the whole thing. But then again, you have to realize they've not gotten past the quarters, and like they've never made it to the semi-final of a Champions League in their history. So I think personally, Ferran Torres, a really good team, a really good player. Sorry, he's been on good form in the Champions League, and he scored a hat trick for Spain in their 6-0 thrashing of Germany. But yeah, those are the teams I've chosen who could potentially go through. I will try to narrow it down to two, but who do you think?
Again, I actually have five teams. I feel, some of these teams have been good in the Champions League, but I feel their performances in their own domestic leagues have me slightly questioning. The first one I'm gonna have to say I still think is Barca, because I feel they've almost got out of their group. I think they can get out of their group, and I still feel, Messi is just. I just think he's enough to take them. I still feel because of their previous Champions League seasons, they've just not been very good. They've looked alive in some matches, and then the next match they've looked a bit, dead. But I still feel the players they have in their squad that can take them to the semis. The next team I'm gonna say is Man City again. Like Trevu said, they always everyone says they're gonna win, and then they make a couple of mistakes and then they're always out. But I still think they can make it to the semis. I think one of the main reasons is their squad. They're able to rotate. They're able to have enough players, enough good players to play in the Premier League and play in the Champions League with giving some of the players a rest. I think that's really important, fresh players after a week of, just rest and training, they perform much better. And I feel because of Man City squad and obviously the players in that squad, that's my second team. Now, my third team, I am going to say PSG, even though they are in a horrible position in their group. They always seem to some games play well, some games not. They're a bit inconsistent. But Neymar, if Neymar and Mbappe stay fit, I really think they can take them to the semi-finals. And the fourth team I'm going to say is Juventus. Like again mentioned before, I think they can make it out of their group. I think they're a strong enough team. I've been questioning some of their Serie A performances, but I still feel Ronaldo, Dybala, Kulusevski, they have some great players in their team, and I think um yeah, they can get through. I said five teams, but I think this is my four, and I feel there are three other teams that are a bit controversial, and I don't really think they can, even though they're strong. So I'm not going to mention them. These are just my four teams. I think the only difference between ours were, I think PSG, was it? PSG and United, yeah.
So yeah, that's who we've chosen. If I had to narrow it down to two, I would probably go with Man City and I'll say Juve. But so
Yeah,
who are the you would narrow down? If you had to choose two out of the five you mentioned, four you mentioned,
I'm
which two?
actually going to say. Manchester City because of their squad, but I don't think they will win. I just don't. But I feel they seem to
F
have found a sort of okay defensive combination. They lost on the weekend against Tottenham, where they didn't look very good. But I still feel, I think they can make it through. And the other team I'm going to say is Barca, actually. Those are if I had to say two, those would be my two teams. Obviously, apart from Liverpool and Bayern.
So that's all we have for today's episode. We hope everybody enjoyed. We will see you next time on our Premier League weekend fixtures preview, where we will take a look at some of the big matches, various other topics which we haven't decided yet. But we will see you next time on episode 2. Peace out.